The Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, were adopted by all United Nations member states in 2015 to end poverty, reduce inequality, and build more peaceful, prosperous societies by 2030. Many of the global challenges to development are especially salient for the children and youth. It is their future that depends on how well these SDGs are adopted. Where do our children or the youth stand today?
There are still a lot of kids
that can't go to school
because their families
can't afford their education.
Other kids have to walk a long distance
and even cross rivers and climb mountains just to go to school.
A lot of kids cannot go to school because the parents don't have money.
People are using up the world's resources
without thinking of the consequences,
like global warming. We have a lot of natural disasters
like super typhoons and forest fires
that destroy the livelihood and homes of many people.
People's waste are reaching the oceans,
killing turtles, fishes, and other marine life.
The number of animals are getting smaller and the food supply is getting smaller.
Why do you think their numbers are getting smaller?
Because they're getting endangered. The people have been cutting the trees in their habitat.
A lot of people are getting sick,
especially because of COVID-19. Everyone is affected.
Yung ibang people hindi makapunta sa hospital pag sick sila.
What is the ideal future for our children?
Sana lahat ng bata ay mabigyan ng pagkakataong makapag-aral.
I dream of a future where no kid gets left behind.
I hope people can start doing their part in saving the earth
by doing simple acts
like recycling or bringing our own water bottles
for our beverages.
Our family has learned not to use plastic bags, and I just hope others learn how to do that too.
Sana walang bagyo na makakasira
ng mga pinaghirapan
ng aming magulang.
I wish for a greener environment. Less pollution.
I hope governments and people work together so we can fight any virus
or any sickness
that comes our way.
I hope that everybody has an access to medicine and proper nutrition.
Sana may pagkain mga pamilya para wala nang maglimos. All of the kids have to stay healthy. We dream of a future where every child thrives.
Every child lives in a clean environment.
And every child has a fair chance in life.
Now more than ever, we must work together
to make the world a better place,
to ensure healthy lives, improve access to education,
to combat climate crisis.
Aligned with the ATRAM's mission to engage, inspire, and collaborate
to build a financially secure future,
we are committed to building that future where no one is left behind.
We have adopted 3 out of the 17 SDGs,
aiming to make a positive impact,
as well as ingraining more responsible
and sustainable business practices within ATRAM.
At ATRAM, we value our children's dreams. Let's make it happen for them. Through the ATRAM Sustainable Development and Growth Fund, we'll invest in companies that embrace sustainability and believe that this is key to a better Philippines and a better future for us and our children.
If we be nice to our planet Earth will be nice to us.
Invest to thrive. Invest together.
Hello and welcome. I'm Kevin Soto, digital analyst, and it's my pleasure to be your host for this week's episode of ATRAM webinar series. The markets are constantly in flux, and it can sometimes feel overwhelming to keep up. But with the right strategy and agile management, these significant global changes can create opportunities for investment. This morning, we'll deep dive on the numerous developments that are changing the world today and how to generate opportunities amidst these structural shifts with the ATRAM Global Equity Opportunity Feeder Fund. Stay tuned to learn more about this fund and why you should keep an eye on it. If you have questions, you may send them as early as now by clicking on the Q&A button below your screen. Before we begin, I'd like to let you know that this session will be recorded and that copies will be disseminated within the day as well as posted on all our social media platforms. Also, please don't forget to visit our website, that's www.atram.com.ph, for more detailed information about all the funds that we offer. If you have any friends who you think would like this webinar but are unable to attend, feel free to share the YouTube replay of this session and visit our YouTube channel, ATRAM Studios. Also, we would like to invite you to join ATRAM's official Viber community group, that's #ATRAMPHCommunity, to stay updated on the latest announcements, advisories, and reminders. Scan the QR code or visit the link on screen and get a chance to win ATRAM merchandise. Lastly, we would like this webinar to be as interactive as possible, so please don't hesitate to send your questions in the Q&A tab all throughout the webinar. Each question you send is a raffle entry for a chance to win ATRAM merchandise. Winners will be announced at the end of the webinar, so make sure to stay until the end. We will also be wrapping up with a quick feedback survey after the webinar, so we do hope you can share your thoughts with us about our session today and how we can further improve our webinar series. So with those out of the way, let me introduce our speaker this morning, ATRAM's Product Development Manager, DJ De Jesus. DJ has been in the finance industry for over 7 years and has been with the firm for 4 years. As a product development manager, he identifies potential new product opportunities to continue ATRAM's legacy of innovation. DJ is also a charter holder of the CFA. So now, let us all welcome DJ. Hi DJ, how are you doing today?
Thank you, Kevin. CIA talaga. Joke lang. It's
CFA,
always a
sorry
pleasure
about
to
that.
speak to our viewers. And we're excited to share you how you can invest in the stories of tomorrow today. But what are these future stories, diba, Kevin? To look forward, we need to be able to look back. And the world we live in today is vastly different from the world over 10 years ago. And that's the truth about the world. The world is seeing multiple changes that's affecting the economic and investing landscape. And we're seeing 4 megatrends that are changing our lives today. These are urbanization, technological innovation, demographic and social change, and resource scarcity. Hindi ko i-claim na subject matter expert po ako sa mga megatrends na to. Dahil to be able to talk about all these megatrends, medyo maraming kailangan puntahan. So I'll merely scratch the surface on how these megatrends are changing the world we know today. And first, let's talk about the development of megacities, which we need to understand to get why urbanization is such a big trend. One of the things we have always observed throughout history is that people flock to progress. Kung bumalik ka sa mga ancient times, kagaya ng Egypt, yung mga major cities were built near the river. And sa river siya kasi it's a source of fresh water, which is perfect for agriculture and para mamuhay talaga. And today, the river-based cities have been replaced with central business districts. More people are crowding into these cities for work. And our own Metro Manila is projected to have 30,000 people per square kilometer in 2035. You'll also notice that during COVID-19, the news always had NCR or Metro Manila and the surrounding areas or NCR Plus. And this is one of the many side effects of urbanization. With the news of the vaccine, more people in the metro became more laxed and more traveled in and out of the metro, kaya nga NCR Plus. And so we saw a spike in cases in the first quarter of 2021. Urbanization makes housing scarce and brings about the need for adequate public services and waste disposal then. And it also increases the need for technological advancement. And we can't talk about technological advancement without talking about smartphones. Yung mga device yun, yung mga pocket device, they've really changed the way we're able to reach each other. It started with 4G, where more and more apps came about providing a multitude of online services. And 5G na tayo ngayon, di ba? In fact, it continues to change how we do things, from listening to music on Spotify, reading books on Kindle, shopping via Lazada or Shopee, and even our cars can talk to our smartphones. This is so much more true today, ngayon na post-pandemic world na tayo. We thought of hosting webinars even before the pandemic, pero with COVID-19, we adapted by making these regular Thursday webinars to be able to reach you, diba? And I don't need to be talking about all the other brands that you see right now, but you know that these have really helped us during these trying times. And this technological innovation megatrend extends to other fields. In healthcare, robotic surgery as of 2018 is now 15.1% of all surgeries. Teleconsultation or telehealth now makes 46% of all consultations. And e-commerce has really gone up with the lack of mobility, with more people relying on digital finance, such as credit cards. The need to talk about healthcare points out the changing demographics we already have. Healthcare spending as part of overall spending, naging double-digit na sa mga advanced economies like the US and parts of Europe, the more developed parts of Europe like Germany, France. You'll notice there's a correlation between healthcare spend and the percent of the population over 65. So it's not hard to make the conclusion na yung developed world ngayon is an aging demographic or tumatanda na. And that's not the only demographic change. Throughout the last few millennia, women and their ability to participate in the workforce has grown. So much so that if you look at the difference between the 1990 graph and the 2017 graph, you'll see that the 1990 is more pink and the 2017 graph is more violet or more purple. And that just speaks to how much more people are in the workforce. And there's really a benefit for having companies with more women. Having at least 3 female directors per studies has achieved 53% higher return on equity. And in the past decade, we've seen another rise in the middle class or yung mga burgis. You'll notice that bigger jumps are seen in the middle income bracket. And this rise in the middle class was particularly driven by the Asia region. That's why Asia is such a strong region at the moment. It's also why we have this picture of the crazy rich Asians. Having that is proof of the rising middle class, especially in Asia. In fact, this is why you see so much discretionary spending in the past decade. More middle income earners means more demand for consumer goods. And let's think about 2030. These demographic changes, these more consumption, increases the resources that we need to consume. Food, water, and energy demands would have to increase by 30 to 50%. But by increasing the demand, we're emitting more carbon into the atmosphere, and this is causing global warming. The magic number of global warming is 2 degrees Celsius. Anything above that is really bad. NASA has conducted studies about the adverse effects of having temperature increases by more than 2 degrees each year. And you have already felt the effects of global warming today. Ilang beses na ba natin naramdaman na sobrang init dito sa Pilipinas na over 40 degrees na? Don't we already have a water supply problem starting 2020? And last year, diba, nung November, we had a really bad typhoon back then, diba? And that caused inflation in our own local economy. How about yung pagtaas ng mga dengue cases? And we're also seeing a lot of animal diseases like bird and swine flu, diba? Basically, because of the high demand for food, water, and energy means more carbon. And if not done right, moving forward, it will cause even more resource scarcity and have impacts on not only our health, but also our wealth. This slide is very loaded. So before I explain it, I'll give you the context for the graphs. The yellow is the scenario where we target 2 degrees temperature rise. And then the blue is the 1.5. That's what's ideal for studies of NASA and the IPCC. And if we aimed for 1.5 degrees, we need to reduce carbon emissions by from 34 gigatons to 9.5 gigatons in 2050. And we need to reduce fossil fuel use from 485 exajoules to 130 exajoules. Ano ba ibig sabihin nun? It means if we want to get to 1.5 degrees, we would need to reduce gas usage and not increase it by 41% and oil usage by 70%. So even if we're increasing demand, we should be decreasing it. And that's why the world basically said, okay, we need to work on this. 197 countries signed the Paris Agreement, which was to support efforts towards limiting global warming to about 2%, preferably to 1.5%. And the UN, the United Nations, also adopted the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which not only address climate change, but also other facets of environmental and social change, which includes economic development, environmental improvement, water quality, and urban development. With all these measures, businesses would need to start integrating sustainable practices into their businesses. In short, businesses would really need to spend on sustainability. So think about the spending on energy transition alone. We'll be transitioning from fossil fuels to renewable resources like wind farms and lithium. And you'd need a lot of capital expenditure for that. So aiming for 2-degree planned scenario, this would amount to about 95 trillion US dollars. But if we aim for the 1.5 degree scenario, that's an additional 110 trillion dollars. Aiming for 1.5 degrees will also create 100 million jobs. That will help the economy. And President Biden launched a $4 trillion US dollar stimulus package to fight climate change. As you could see, though, government spending is not enough. 4 trillion is far from 95 trillion or 110 trillion. Companies would have to spend as well. And with all these interlinked changes happening in the world today, it has multiple effects in our economy and ultimately where we should be investing. Last March 10, the EU made a major milestone of passing what's called the Sustainable Finance Disclosure Regulation. And this regulation was made to ensure financial firms in Europe, like fund managers, insurers, banks, disclose the commitment of their bank products or financial products to sustainability. I won't go too deep into the details of the SFDR, but one of the more relevant provisions is that financial products need to be classified under 3 categories to be marketable. So you have to classify it under Article 8, Article 9, or others. Article 8 is what we call ESG, or the products that promote good environmental, social, and governance characteristics. Article 9 naman, or sustainable or impact investing, have their investment objective mismo as committed to these environmental or social change. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Multiple reforms are being done to support sustainability, and it will be an integral part of the financial disclosures of companies. So with this, we're relaunching the ATRAM Global Equity Opportunity Feeder Fund. The fund is a global equity fund, and you can currently invest in this fund right now in US dollars. And we recently changed the target fund to the Allianz Thematica Fund last April 30. The new target fund is a global core multi-thematic fund, which just means it invests into the stories of tomorrow today. The fund invests into the themes that would benefit the most today. Basically, these 4 major megatrends that we've just talked about. And this makes the fund the first global multi-thematic fund in the Philippine market. And soon, we will be launching a Philippine Peso unit class for this fund. You heard it right. This fund that lets you invest into all these new developments in the world will be available in pesos. This fund is perfect for the aggressive investor, especially someone who does not know San ko ba ilalagay? Ano ba yung theme na dapat, gusto kong story na to, gusto ko yung story na to. We've launched 4 thematic funds already, tackling some of the prevalent themes that work on these megatrends, like the global technology, global consumer trends, global financials, and Philippine SDG. But if you don't know which theme to decide, let this fund choose for you. This fund is also perfect for those with a long-term investment horizon, someone who's willing to sacrifice short to medium-term losses for the prospect of handsome returns in the long term. And the objective of anyone investing into this fund should really be growing your money. What this fund does is that they try to find the stories within these megatrends that work today. Diba, you have the 4 megatrends, and to be truthful, those can persist from 20 to 100 years. And then you would have to narrow down what are the themes that would shorten the time horizon from 20 to 100 to 5 to 20. And then from there, you would have to choose the right stories to shorten it further to 2 to 5 years. And that's what the fund manager does. 2 to 5 years is perfect for that long-term horizon investing perspective. And the themes of the fund today hit the various megatrends. Urbanization and technological innovation tend to be the more prevalent megatrends, with each trend hitting at least one of these megatrends. The fund currently invests into water and waste, health tech, infrastructure, artificial intelligence, digital life, pet economy, and next generation energy. And the biggest themes in the fund today are digital life, next generation energy, clean water and land, health tech, and infrastructure. You might be familiar already with the digital life theme if you're investing to either global consumer trends or global financials. The theme spans things like digital personal finance, social media, digital advertising, esports, and cybersecurity. The next generation energy and clean water and land themes really address the need for sustainability and resource scarcity. Clean water and land look at the water infrastructure, water efficiency, and modern waste management, ensuring we're able to reach the water demand needs of the world and not create too much waste as well. And given the capital expenditure on energy transition, wind farms and lithium producers are the ones that are hot ticket items for that area. And it's perfect to complement the Philippine SDG fund as well. Health tech is actually a field that we're still looking for a really good fund for, but it's a growing space as discussed from biotechnology, surgical health, teleconsultation, and DNA treatment. Lastly, infrastructure addresses the aging infrastructure in even the most developed cities and the need to refresh this infra. Even our own government continues to push build, build, build kahit may pandemic, diba? So with the fund being fully supportive of megatrends such as demographic and social change and resource scarcity, and with themes like clean water and land and next generation energy, the fund is an Article 8 fund under the SFDR. The fund also goes under Allianz overall climate engagement strategy, which promotes a low carbon economy. This makes this fund the first global ESG fund on top of being a global multi-thematic fund in the Philippine market. And I think the performance of the fund should really speak for itself. By understanding the different shifts in the needs of the globe, the fund has consistently performed in the top quartile, first quartile among its peers globally. And since inception, the target fund has provided for 102.95% in peso terms, which is roughly 17% year on year. Next slide, please, for the past years. But remember that while past performance does not guarantee future performance, the target fund has shown consistency in delivering good returns. So invest in the fund that invests in the stories of tomorrow today. Invest in the ATRAM Global Equity Opportunity Feeder Fund. Next slide, please. The peso unit class of the fund launches on June 7 this year and will be available on Seedbox for as low as 1,000 pesos. We're happy to provide funds like this, acting as your personal portfolio manager So you don't need to do the work yourself. You don't need to study, oh, which story do you actually go to? All you need to do is save money and invest the money into one of our funds that really work as your personal portfolio manager. So, Kevin?
Thank you for that, DJ. So ATRAM has a wide range of investment products, and our capabilities span across several asset classes, meant to service the different investment objectives of each individual. For today's session, we hope to have somehow assisted you to take on tomorrow by investing in a fund that's highly invested in themes best positioned to benefit from long-term fundamental changes. Mark your calendars as we are about to launch the peso share of class of this fund on Seedbox, what DJ said, this coming June 7, 2021. That's a Monday, guys. Mark your calendars. For more information about the fund, please visit www.atram.com.ph. At this point, we would like to move on to the live questions from our audience. So, DJ, ready ka na ba? I see we have several questions coming in. Okay, let's start with the first question. DJ, how does thematic investing differ from its peers in the industry?
Well, one of the things that we've done in this market is we actually already saw a lot of these mega trends back then, 2015, 2016. We even had a conference in 2017 called ATRAM Future 360, where we talked about a lot of these trends like energy, technology, digitization, artificial intelligence, machine learning, robots, big data, Internet of Things, biotechnology, genomics, life sciences, urbanization, infrastructure. So we've been talking about a lot of these themes before already. And we've actually launched the thematic fund every year after 2017 in line with what our view is in the global markets. We want to make sure that it's really relevant at that time. So one of the bigger themes that we saw, and a lot of our competitors are also looking at it already, is tech and how pervasive it is in our lives. So that's the first one we launched in 2018. We launched financials in 2019, coming off the high interest rates in 2018, and also because of fintech. And then in 2020, we saw that, hey, the consumer trends, because of the digital life theme, would be perfect because of the lack of mobility during the pandemic. We launched it in February 28 when everyone was panicking. We saw, okay, let's just launch this. This fund will grow. And it did 100% from February 28th of 2020 to February 28th of 2021. And we launched this year the Philippine Sustainability Fund because of because 2020 was also one of the record highs in terms of global warming. It's the warmest year we've ever experienced. So sustainability is something that we should be working towards already. It's really affecting the way our lives are working. If you see, I talked about the typhoon, diba? That's one of the proof of global warming really affecting us. And we continue to carefully plan out the themes. That's why we don't have a healthcare fund yet, because we want it to be market relevant as well as really fleshed out before we launch it. So the way we do things, you'll notice it's timed pretty much correctly. And at the same time, it's something that's relevant and resonates to a lot of people. And that's the difference that we have. And of course, we also put investment metrics to make sure that the money you put is pretty much safe.
Agree, DJ. No, so you mentioned these themes and how you perfectly time the launch of these themes every year. No, so I guess our audience is interested lang to know. Ano ba yung mga themes, DJ, that performed well last year? And I guess a follow-up question: why did they perform well?
You know what? Actually, lahat ng themes that were discussed in this fund, all of these themes, pati yung pet economy, pati yung what's not in the fund anymore, education or e-education. All these themes were winners in 2020. And the reason for that is we came from a financial crisis, diba? COVID-19, effectively a pandemic, but also effectively a financial crisis, brought people to say, okay, where can I invest? Where can I put my money if everywhere lugi ako effectively? So there's this word called TINA, or there's no alternative. So everyone just went there. And in 2020, all of these themes, especially consumer trends, if you saw the performance of consumer trends for 1 year starting the pandemic, wow. But you'll also notice this year that there's been correction due to how steep it is. And it's really attributed to TINA because all the demand will go there and a lot of people have a lot of money there. It was supercharged in 2020. But we do believe a lot of all these themes will continue to prevail moving forward. I think that the correction is pretty much over. There might be some short-term volatility, but overall, we believe in all of these themes, and we believe that these themes will push and continue to prevail moving forward.
All right, thank you for that, DJ. So our next question naman, coming from our audience, what do you see as some of the growth opportunities in the local equity markets?
That's a very tough question, Kevin. It's really hard, especially what we're experiencing right now, diba? Hindi tayo lumabas from lockdowns eh. It's hard given the current situation. So there's a flock to two things in the current local. One is towards sustainability. And why sustainability? If we invest in sustainable companies, chances are these companies also have good governance practices. They have very good management. And because of that, they're able to be more prudent during these trying times. And they'll be able to have better cash flow than their competitors. So sustainability, that's one of the areas for growth. So we have this Philippine Sustainability Fund, the Philippine SDG Fund. That's something that you could invest. It's gonna be performing better than what the market is doing right now. A second area we see for growth is small caps, because one of the things that we've also noticed is that foreign participation in our local markets medyo mataas. And that makes the big names very volatile, and small caps, because mas kita mo yung mga growth opportunities, that's where you can really invest. Converge was something that we invested in, something that we thought that was really good, especially the tech angle. It was a winner in 2020. It's going to continue to be a winner moving forward. We have Ditto coming up, and then you also have the Mondinisen, which owns Lucky Me. So IPOs tend to be good also for some growth. And I think those are the opportunities we see on the local space.
Thank you, DJ. I know it's a tough question, but thanks for shedding light on that. So guys, keep the questions coming in. Remember, we have a prize at the end of this webinar, and DJ likes answering the tough questions, so just keep them coming. So next question, DJ. What are some things that could affect the fund in the near term, and should it be a cause for concern for investors?
Causes for concern. I think one of the biggest themes right now, at least for this year, is the fear of inflation. One of the things, because of how fast the globe is recovering, it's sparked the demand for oil. And of course, there was a Texas storm that also increased oil prices. So inflation became one of the things that popped into everyone's radar. That's still going to be a continued concern. You've seen a rotation this year from a lot of these long-term growth themes to what you call cyclical themes. So that's why our financials fund is working really well. It's really because of the high interest rates being favorable for banks globally. And also the reopening theme tends to be something that's for concern for these. We mentioned Tina a while ago and how steep the performance of these themes are. And there might be a bit more corrections in the short term, but we do believe that all these themes are needed now. Like, for example, look at the sustainability angle. Sustainability, we saw one of the warmest years last year in 2020. And you also have something like Biden pushing that 4 trillion US dollar stimulus package for climate change. So more businesses will really be working towards sustainability. You also have that SFDR, so more companies would have to work on their sustainability disclosures and really think about, oh, okay, how will we be supporting sustainability? And that's really going to have a lot of capital expenditure. That's going to have a lot of capital spend, and it will be pushing forward. One of the other things is you'll see this year or moving forward, a lot of people will be transferring their wealth management from the oldies to the millennials. So having impact investing like this, where you're invested into things that you know and things that are very relevant today, is going to be helpful for the fund.
All right. Okay. So we're going to our next question, DJ. Does relaunching this fund mean resetting this to NABPU at 1.00? Also, a
No,
follow-up question: will it still be available in dollars?
yes, it will still be available in dollars. It won't reset the NAV. The NAV will continue to grow. It just means that we've shifted to a fund that we believe will be persistent in the future. We talked about these mega trends in 2017. We're seeing a lot of them work today, especially because of the results of the COVID-19 pandemic and what's been happening with the fossil fuel situation and the demand situation. So moving forward, yeah, you can invest both in dollars or in pesos. On June 7 in Seedbox.
Right. So, DJ, we're not relaunching this fund, right? We're actually just launching a new one in peso, right? Can you clarify that? Are we relaunching this fund?
Part of it is relaunching. It used to be an old fund. So the old target fund was Fidelity International. But we saw the opportunity to move it towards a more thematic-based investing. So that's why we're relaunching the new target fund, Allianz Thematica. And we're also launching the new peso class. So it's a relaunch and it's also a launch.
All right. Okay. I've heard you mentioned all throughout this webinar about renewable energy companies, no? But okay, just to answer this question and to reiterate lang, DJ, does this mean that it's good to invest on renewable energy companies?
Yes, actually, I think that's another area of growth locally. If you can invest to it, renewable energy is going to be something that more people will have to spend on. I think the Philippines is also supportive of the SDGs. So companies that are able to do renewable, like for example, solar or wind farms or use the lithium. So those companies that are revolving around the energy transition is going to be very helpful. And again, you saw the amount of capital spend we need to get to that 2-degree, 1.5-degree, over $200 trillion. So it's no feat. So investing in this is very worthwhile.
Right. We have a lot of good questions now. You would agree, DJ. Guys, keep the questions coming in, huh? Very interesting. So I guess the next question would be, when you launch the Philippine peso of the Philippine edition of this fund, will this be available in Seedbox?
Yes, it will be available on Seedbox on launch date on June 7th.
Right. Everybody has to mark their calendars. So next question, DJ. Which of these megatrends will most likely impact the Philippine economy in the next 10 years?
next 10 years, one of the things that you'll see right away, urbanization and resource scarcity. Urbanization, you'll notice that it's going to be more population dense in Metro Manila. We're still not out of the clear on COVID-19, so that's going to have a negative effect on us. So the confluence of COVID-19 and then urbanization, resource scarcity is going to be a problem pa rin. We felt the water shortages last year, continuing to feel that right now. Water demand is still going to be very important. Even although all the resources, diba, medyo nagkaroon ng inflation on the pork, on the chicken. So resource scarcity is still going to be continuing to hit the Philippines. I think also one of the things that we need to be pushing, and that's why we have a lot of new good IPOs that converge. That is the technological aspect. We need to catch up to the rest of the world when it comes to technology.
All right. Okay. Now, kanina it was asked if it will be available in seed box. I guess the next question relevant to that is, sa G-Invest ba magiging available din to?
Watch out for news. We're working with GCash to be able to launch new funds also. A wave 3, kumbaga. We've had 2 waves na. The peso money market is wave 1, and then wave 2 had global tech, global consumer trends, total return peso, and Philippine equity smart index. So we're working towards what wave 3 will be. If this fund will be in wave 3, hopefully, including our Philippine SDG fund. So just watch out for news from ATRAM.
Yep. So you better follow our Facebook page. That's ATRAM Group. Para we're gonna be announcing what the funds we will be offering in G-Invest there. No, constantly watch out na lang. So eto, DJ, more of a general question. No? Question is, I'm a beginner. How much initial investment is needed for me to see gains? A follow-up to that is, are there charges made when managing my investments, which may result to bigger losses if my investment is not huge enough?
Well, it would really depend on what your goal is. The amount of money you have to put should be based on the amount of money you expect to get at the end. And then you have to make sure that you're paying it regularly. For this fund, you can invest at it for as low as 1,000 pesos. So it's a very small amount that you can already invest. If you do it every month, 1,000 pesos every month, that might help you already with your financial goals. When it comes to the fees, yes, there are embedded fees in the NAV pool. So you have your trust fees, your custodian fees, your audit fees, and of course the target fees as well. But you'll notice that even with those fees, the performance of the funds is really good because of how good the stories are. Again, 17% was the estimate that we have for this in peso. And although past performance may not be indicative of future performance, having a double-digit return because of all the growth prospects of this fund is very nice to look at.
All right. We have another interesting question here. Kahit ako interested ako sa sasagot mo dito, DJ. No? So, DJ, ATRAM already has equity opportunity. How is the Global Equity Opportunity Feeder Fund different?
Well, you have a different set of opportunities, diba? The Philippine Equity Opportunity, or the Equity Op, is invested here. So you'll see the companies that you know, the companies that you like, diba? The companies you spend on here locally. But there's a lot of companies that we don't have access to, diba? Take, for example, the digital life theme. If you think about that theme, we might not be able to access a lot of the growth in those areas if we stay in the Philippines. So it looks like a really good complement. A lot of people are scared to access global, but the thing is, you're already benefiting from a lot of global companies here, diba? You know your FMCGs, like Unilever, P&G, diba? Those are foreign companies as well, diba? You use your smartphone, Samsung. So investing in global is very important, and also investing into global themes that will continue to persist in the next decade or longer really helps. And it's basically a personal fund manager for you.
All right, thank you, DJ. So you mentioned this a lot, no? DJ, given the popularity of the sustainable or the ESG investments, are you seeing a lot of PH buy side clients giving more emphasis on this?
PH buy side clients? Well, we're trying to be able to educate in terms of the sustainability aspect. It's actually very big in Europe where it started. It's also big. It's becoming big in Asia. We have a lot of the Asian region talking about ESG, sustainability. All of these practices are becoming very important. And even our PSP, Jokno, he's already, Governor Jokno, he's already talked about putting sustainability in the frameworks, and that means companies will also have to be reporting sustainability. And while it might not be something that's not yet concrete in the buy side, it's going to be something that needs to be developed. We're the first to fully integrate ESG into our own investing. And we hope that all the other players follow suit because ESG is something we all need to be working on.
Okay, DJ, I guess we're down to our last few questions. Pero guys, pwede pa naman humabol. Just ask them now. So, DJ, how much is the minimum investment amount for the USD and the Philippine peso share class?
For the Philippine peso share class, it is 1,000 pesos. And then for the US dollar, I believe it's $100. So very low minimums to be able to invest. But of course, those minimums are just minimums so that, okay, if you have money, invest. But always think of what your goals are and how much you need to invest regularly, and that will help you choose what amount to invest.
How much naman, DJ, is the trust fee for the Global Equity Feeder Fund?
So currently, the trust fee, if I'm not mistaken, is 90 bips. We will be increasing that to 1.15% on June 1. So as soon as you get the peso share class, it's going to be affected by the 1.15% trust fee. But that said, being able to access these kinds of funds first in market allows you to be able to get opportunities that you won't get anywhere else. So very exciting times right now.
All right, DJ, thank you for your time. I think that is all the time that we have for questions today. So before we wrap up, DJ, any last words to our audience?
Well, thank you again for the opportunity to talk to you guys. We're happy to bring the best solutions for the Filipino investor. And impact investing is very close to our hearts. And we hope all Filipinos take the chance to invest in this fund that's one of a kind at the moment. And we have made it very easy by making it a peso class for all Filipinos.
Right. Once again, thank you, DJ, for taking the time to share and discuss the ATRAM Global Equity Opportunity Feeder Fund. Thank you also to our audience. I hope you were able to gain insights and key takeaways from today's webinar. Now, did you know that for as low as 1,000 pesos, you can soon invest in the first multi-thematic feeder fund and the first global ESG fund in the country? That's the ATRAM Global Equity Opportunity Feeder Fund. Please stay tuned to know more.
Hello. To open an account with ATRAM, just visit our website at www.atram.com.ph. Here, you can learn more about all the funds and services that we offer. Our site will then guide you to our online investment platform, Seedbox, where you can start investing for just 1,000 pesos. But if you have more questions, visit the website's Frequently Asked Questions page or ATRAM Academy page. Thank you.
If you have any further questions or would like to know more about ATRAM, please visit our website www.atram.com.ph. All right, as promised, here are the winners of our ATRAM merchandise. Congratulations, guys. Our team will contact you through the details you provided during the registration and how to receive your prize. Today's environment of uncertainty calls for increased mental resilience. Join us next week May 27, that's also Thursday, as Dr. Janelle Gatlabayan Cleto addressed tools and strategies for managing stress to help improve our overall well-being and increase our adaptability to the ever-changing demands of the pandemic. You may register now by scanning the QR code flashed on the screen, or you may also just type in the link found on the left side of your screen. Again, if you have friends who you think would like this webinar but are unable to attend, feel free to share the YouTube replay of this session. Visit our YouTube channel, ATRAM Studios. We would also like to invite you to join ATRAM's new official Viber community group, that's hashtag ATRAMPH Community, to stay updated on the latest announcements, advisories, and reminders. Scan the QR code or visit this link found on the left side of your screen and get a chance to win ATRAM merchandise. Lastly, please answer the survey at the end of this webinar. We would love to know your thoughts on today's topic. On behalf of everyone at ATRAM, thank you again for your attendance and participation. We wish you and your loved ones continued health and safety. Have a great day, everyone.